Hi, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Judy Matusky and I am a registered and licensed dietitian, and I'm happy to be here with you. This afternoon we're going to actually be cooking with tinned fish. And you might wonder what that is. And I think most of us are typically think of tinned fish, and I have a whole bunch of them behind me, as fish that comes in a can. And I feel like tinned fish just sounds a little bit better. Why am I even doing a video around this? Well, there's a lot of reasons why we should be eating tinned fish. And certainly economical, they're relatively inexpensive, they are shelf stable, so you can always have them in your pantry for a very quick meal. They are incredibly nutritious because they're very high in protein. This one tin is about 20 grams of protein, and that's the perfect amount for most of us for a meal. And they're also high in omega-3 fatty acids. Many of them are very sustainable. So there's just so many great reasons. But I feel like the word sardines just makes everybody's face cringe. And I feel like they really get a bad rap, and I think we need to really revisit them because there's so many different things you can do with different recipes, different seasonings that can help to sort of cover that fishy flavor that I think we all associate with something like sardines or anchovies. And they can play an incredible role as the star ingredient in a recipe, or even just as a background flavor that you don't even really recognize that it's fishy. It's just there to add some umami and depth of flavor in a recipe. So we're going to spend a little bit of time today, and I'm going to show you two very quick ways to use fish. We're going to work with sardines today. I'd like to do this as maybe a three-part series so that we're using sardines today in a pretty simple, easy way. Then I'd like to do a little bit, some recipes using anchovies, and then some recipes even using canned, salmon as an alternative to tuna fish. So today, let me just show you, I've got so many different cans of sardines. And what I love about them is that the cans are so pretty. So this one I found a bunch of these at a Euro market in Broomall, close to where I live. These are amazing, so cute. The cans are just so bright and adorable. So these are a couple I picked up there. Here's some from Trader Joe's, Costco. You can pick them up in the supermarket. They don't have to be a special brand, but there certainly are some sardines that are a little bit better than others. So when you are using tinned fish and you feel like maybe it's a little bit too strong or a little bit too fishy, that's a good time to maybe try a different brand. Some of the better brands that you might find in a specialty market, or you might even have to order online, they are going to have a much meatier, less fishy flavor. So that's something to keep in mind if you're struggling with that. Okay, so today I'm going to have two recipes for you. They're both going to be on toast, and they're both using tinned fish. One is going to be with sardines, and the other is going to be using smoked trout. And I'll talk a little bit about that when we get to recipe 2. So the first recipe is using sardines, and it's just a way to make a very quick breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. It's a whole meal. You might want to add a little salad with it or something, but for the most part, it is all in one. So they are two different toasts, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about the ingredients that we're going to use. As I mentioned, we're going to use sardines. So I'm just going to pull one out. I think I'm going to use the one from Trader Joe's. I do like the sardines packed in oil. I think they're just a little bit better, but we are going to want to drain off that oil. We don't need that in the recipe. So we're going to use 1 can of sardines. We're going to use 4 slices of whole grain bread, and I have just picked up some whole grain sourdough at Trader Joe's. And then with that, we're going to make like a little bit of kind of like a little salad with some red onion and some capers and some lemon, and we're going to put that all together, and then we're going to put that on top of our toast. All right, so to get started, I'm actually going to grab 2 slices of toast. The recipe that we're going to have this recipe available for you. So we will put that certainly up on the Facebook page with Athens Nutrition, and we'll also have it available at judymatusky.com, which is our recipe site. So we'll make sure that link's available for you. But basically the recipe makes 4 slices of toast, but today I'm just going to do one slice of each of the toasts that we're making. But I am going to take, it's about a teaspoon of olive oil, and I have some extra virgin olive oil here in a little bit of a container, and I'm just going to just spread about a teaspoon on, you can just do it on one side of the toast. It doesn't really have to be on both. And in the recipe that I'm giving you, you're going to, I think if you're going to make 4 toasts, it's easier just to put them in the oven on a sheet tray and let them toast in the oven. I'm going to do it right on my stove. I'm going to just get this hot so I can get these toasted. I'm just going to put it right in a pan on my stove rather than, I mean, you can't really put them in the toaster or they'll burn. So I'm just going to get these going so that I can get them toasted up so they'll be ready when we finish up our salad. All right, so we're going to take a bowl, and I'll make sure, I think you guys can see that. And we're going to just add the ingredients basically. And I went ahead and did some of the chopping just so we save a little bit of time. But this is a very quick, easy dish that you can throw together very quickly. And it just doesn't take much time at all. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the can of sardines. And I'm going to open them and they are tricky, so just be careful. I wish they'd actually come up with a better way to get the darn sardines out of these cans, because it's so easy to like cut yourself. So I'm gonna drain them in the sink. So let me just open them a little bit. I'm gonna drain out that oil, because the oil that's in there, it's a little bit, it's just a little strong. So we really wanna use some fresh olive oil with this dish. All right, so we have our sardines. And you can see how meaty they are. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. And they're really not that fishy. I mean, it's just a little bit stronger than maybe tuna fish, but if you get a really nice meaty fish, if you don't want the skin on it, you can get the ones that are skinless. These happen to be. Either way, they're fine. All right, so we're just gonna put those in the bowl. And then with that, we're gonna add, I already took some lemon, and it's really like 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice with just a teaspoon. I used a white vinegar, but you can use a red wine vinegar. You can even use a balsamic vinegar, which is what I typically use, but I wanted it to be a little bit lighter. I didn't want that darker red color to come through. So we're gonna add the lemon juice and the vinegar right into the bowl. And then all we're gonna do is just mash this up a little bit. So you're just gonna take your fork and kind of mash up the sardines just to break them up, because we just don't really want them in full chunks. We're just gonna give them a little mash. Okay. Now I have 3 tablespoons of finely diced red onion. And here's where, you really can get creative, and you can use whatever you have in your refrigerator. So I always have red onion in my refrigerator because I use it a lot in salads. If you don't, you could use scallions, you could use chives, you could use shallots, it's whatever sweet onion would be fine too, whatever you have. But the onion and sardines go really well together. So that is a nice pairing. And sardines go really well with lemon juice as well, or something acidic. So vinegar, lemon juice, even lime juice. And you also, it does really well with a little bit of olive oil. So those are some flavors that tend to work nicely with sardines. So let's just we'll get our red onions in here. And I have capers. These are just capers in a jar from the store. These were really large capers, so I actually chopped them up a little bit. So there's a couple of tablespoons, and the recipe actually is going to give you certainly the number of tablespoons to use. But when I make something like this, I really don't measure. You just can eyeball it. You really can't go wrong. You get a little bit more, a little bit less. It's really still going to be fine. All right, so let's get that in, and then so we have our capers, we have our red onion, we have our lemon juice, we have our vinegar, we have our sardines, obviously. All right, so I'm just peeking at my recipe because I'm thinking it's really simple. I should know it by heart. But okay, so we're mixing this around. Now what we're gonna also add is some fresh herbs. Fresh herbs really work a little better than dry herbs because you don't really want that really strong pungent flavor that sometimes dry herbs can have. So I'm going to use just like a couple tablespoons of mint. I shouldn't say that, probably more like a tablespoon. You probably don't want more than that because mint can be a little overpowering. So I just have some fresh mint leaves. I don't know if you can see them in the window. I almost always have jars of herbs. I pick them up almost every week and I just put them in water and I put them up on my windowsill and I use them then throughout the week. You could wrap them in wet paper towels and put them in the refrigerator. That would work too, and maybe some saran wrap, but I just keep them out because that reminds me to use them. Once they go in the refrigerator, you know, sometimes you forget, but if they're sitting on a windowsill, then I see them and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna throw some dill or some herbs or some basil on something. All right, so we're just gonna chop this up, you know, relatively finely. And on the recipe, it really just calls for mint, but because I have some dill, I'm gonna go ahead and add the dill as well. Let me just grab some from over here. It was the dill. I tend to go to Gentili's Market in Broomall, and they just have such beautiful herbs there. So I picked the dill up, and I love dill. I mean, dill is a little bit like cilantro. I think for some people you either love it or you don't, and I love it. So I will add it to so many different things. I'll just add it to salads, you know, leafy green salads. So I am going to add it to this because I do have it. All right, so we're going to add this all together. So we have our mint, we have our all those other ingredients, our onions and our capers and our lemon juice, and this is pretty much good to go. So it really, I mean, it looks a little bit like tuna salad. So and it will be very similar in a way to that. All right, so we have this ready now. I was toasting my bread, and that's coming along nicely. So let me get that going. So I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to move on to the next recipe. So let me just clean up my space a little bit. You kind of want to clean as you go. When you're cooking, it just makes everything so much easier, so you're organized and you have everything ready and easy and prepped and just a mise en place, so everything in its place. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll get started on the second recipe while we're waiting for the toast to get a little bit browner. Oh, it's coming along actually. So why don't we just go ahead and finish this one up. So we're going to take a clove of garlic, and we're just going to cut this clove of garlic in half. Let me just rinse my knife real quick. So we're just going to cut the clove of garlic in half because we're going to rub this garlic on the toast, all right? So let me grab a piece of toast here, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on our plate. So take your garlic clove, and on the side that you have your olive oil on, just go ahead and just rub it on the toast. This is just going to impart a little bit of garlic flavor. It's not going to be overpowering. It's just a little subtle flavor that's going to, you'll be able to taste it, but it's not going to taste too garlicky. All right, so we have our toast slice, and then we're going to take, I'd say like a heaping tablespoon of this herb and sardine mixture, and we're just going to put this right on top of our toast. Oh, it really smells really good. It smells fresh. It smells, you know, like lemon, and I can smell the mint, and I can smell the onion, and it really is lovely. It's not fishy smelling at all. So that's where I'm just trying to get your mind out of thinking that, you know, canned fish and sardines and anchovies are so fishy. They can be by themselves, but you know, when you're combining them with other ingredients, you can help sort of minimize that a little bit. So we have our toast, and now what I will do with this is, with each toast, you're just going to want to drizzle a little bit of extra virgin olive oil over the top of it, and just about a teaspoon, just to give it a little bit more of a richer flavor. And then I would also add a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. And that's it. I mean, you can garnish your plate with a little mint if you would like, just to, you know, make it look very pretty. Maybe even a little wedge of lemon. If you were serving this to someone that was over for lunch or whatever, you might want to just put even a little wedge of lemon on the plate. But isn't that really pretty? So super easy, super simple. It can be a meal for any time of the day. I really love this as a snack. I'll often put this together just if I'm really a little bit hungry, you know, maybe between lunch and dinner, especially if dinner's going to be late. This can be something. You could put this sardine, you know, even on just crackers, or even if you just wanted to put maybe on top of a salad, but super simple and super easy. Okay, so let's move on to our second recipe. And the next recipe that we're going to do is we're going to make smoked trout with red pepper jam and lemon oil. And that's another toast. And I don't know, I love toast. I just think things on top of bread, it's just so satisfying and yummy and crunchy, and it just sort of ticks the box for all the boxes for me. So and it's super easy. So we're gonna do another toast, but this was gonna be using smoked trout. And this is a product that I have been finding at Trader Joe's. It's phenomenal. It is just absolutely delicious. I would think that if you're not sure about the sardines, or you're just a little hesitant, then, and you like tuna fish, then definitely I would start with smoked trout. It's more mild than the sardines, so it's not quite as doesn't have, you know, that stronger fish flavor, and it isn't heavily smoked. It's absolutely fabulous, and you can use it in many different ways. You can put it on pasta. You could just, you know, just top a great leafy green salad with it. There's so many different ways you could use it, but here we're going to just do a little toast with it. All right, so we have our tin, and I've already drained it. So just like the sardines, you're going to want to drain out the oil that it comes in. And with this dish, it is super easy. So you're not really doing much of anything, but just layering things on your toast. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some red pepper jam. So wherever you can pick this up, most supermarkets carry some brand of like a hot red pepper jam. And we're going to just use like a nice dark grainy mustard. I think the grainy mustard's a little bit better for this than the Dijon, than just straight Dijon, but either one would work. So we have that. And I made a lemon oil yesterday. I just went ahead and did it ahead of time because I wasn't sure if we'd have time to actually do it for this video. So how I did that, let me just walk you through it. It was so incredibly easy, and it was so fast. So basically, took a lemon, and I have this little lemon zester that I don't use. I always use my microplane when I'm zesting lemons or any kind of citrus. But for this, you want thin strips. And you can kind of see where I took the strips off the lemon. You want thin strips, and this has like this little gadget, this little like foot on it almost, that you actually just put right into this flesh or the skin of the lemon, and you pull down, and then you get these thin peels of lemon. So I didn't do the full lemon. I did almost the whole lemon. I think I would have just actually use these little strips of lemon zest I would have done the whole lemon when I made this lemon oil, but I wanted to show you how easy it is. If you don't have one of these, then you probably are going to need to use like maybe a carrot peeler or a vegetable peeler, and then peel it, which you're going to end up with a little wider strips of the lemon zest, and you'll probably just want to cut it in a little bit thinner strips. Because you just want more surface area exposed to the oil to release some of this lemon flavor. So all I did then was I got the strips, and I used a quarter of a cup of olive oil, and I just on a low heat on the stove in a little saucepan, olive oil, the lemon strips, and you just on low heat, you just kind of bring it up to, so it gets a little warm, and let it cook for about 5 minutes, and that's it. And then you take it off the heat and let it cool. And then what you have is this beautiful lemon oil, and you can smell the lemon in it. It smells really lovely. So that's super simple. You can do this. You can do herb-infused olive oils as well. There's a lot of ways you can sort of up the flavor, garlic-infused olive oil, but this is just lemon. All right, so we have our lemon oil, and all we're going to do is I have my second slice of toast. So let me pull this over. So we have our toast, and you're going to take, let me just grab a fork. You're going to take, maybe one of the fillets of the, oh no, I'm sorry, back up. We're going to first spread our red pepper jam. All right, so first thing we're going to do is take maybe like a teaspoon, not even, I don't even know if you need that much. probably, you know, half a teaspoon. Just a little bit of the red pepper jam, because you don't want this overly sweet. This is really just in the background for just a little sweet and spicy kick. So a little spread of the red pepper jam, and then about the same amount of this grainy mustard. If you like, you know, if you really like mustard, then put a little bit more on. I do love mustard, so I will probably go a little heavier on the mustard than on the jam. So that just spreads right onto your toast. So you've got your jam and your mustard. And then on top of that, we're just going to take the smoked trout and take it out of the tin. And we're just going to put it right on top. You can kind of just break it up a little bit. All right. So it's about, there's probably like 4 fillets in this tin. So I would, you know, you probably want a full fillet per toast. And just, you know, even it out so you have it spread out on your toast. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of this lemon oil, and we're just going to drizzle. You know, actually, I think I'm going to use my little, what am I calling this? Almost like my paintbrush here. And just let it, I'm gonna just let it drop in on top. So just a little drizzle, you know, not more than a teaspoon, probably even less. All right, so we'll put that on. And then the last couple things we're gonna add will be, we're gonna take some scallions, and we're just gonna chop. I'm just gonna use the green part, whoops, but you could definitely use the whole scallion if you wanted to, but I mean, since we don't need that much scallion, I'm just going to use a little bit of the green. So then we'll take the scallion and we're just going to sprinkle that on top. And then to finish it, I would probably take, because I like a little bit of heat, I'm just going to use a little bit of red pepper, just a tiniest little red pepper flakes on top. And since I have the lemon already cut, I'm going to just drizzle a little bit of fresh lemon juice on top. And that's it. So there is your toast with red pepper jam, smoked trout, and a little bit of lemon oil. Absolutely delicious. All right, so we have our 2 dishes. We have our the sardines with the lemon and mint and herbs, and then we have the smoked trout with the pepper jam and lemon oil. Absolutely delicious. I'm not going to eat on camera, but I will be eating these as soon as I go off camera. This is going to be lunch. So enjoy your tin fish. Don't be afraid of it. Just go ahead and buy some. When you get out to the supermarket, pick up a couple of cans. If you're at Trader Joe's, buy their brand, whatever you want to do, and experiment with it. These are just 2 real simple, easy ways to use the tin fish. You can get the recipes at our Facebook page, so at Athens Nutrition. Check us out. We will be posting more of these cooking videos. Like I said, I'd like to do maybe a part 2, part 3 on tin fish, exploring some other options and different types of tin fish and how to use them. And also check out our recipe blog at judymatusky.com. We post a lot of cooking fast and light and easy. I mean, that is our approach. So we think that eating well and eating healthy should taste good, and it should not take a lot of effort. So that is really, those are our #1 goals when we're cooking. So check out those recipes, and we will see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.